So just when you thought these folks couldn't stoop any lower, they managed to outdo themselves, especially after one of yesterday's shows. You would have thought that, like, it's not possible, but no, it's actually possible. And not only that, but mainstream media has even gotten in on the nonsense in regards to these Texas floods and the things that they've been saying about it. I know, it's crazy. But with that being said, let's dive in.
I'm going to say it because y'all scary as and I don't give a damn. Them little girls, them people died because of racism, not politics. Boom, I said it. I don't give a And am I sad? No. Nope. Because more YT people will have to DIE in order for what CARE. I said what the said. I don't give a minds are here with me. We voted the correct way. You reap what you sow. Just the night before the flash flood happened, y'all were okay with money stripped away from their families and never seeing them again. People being deported. Y'all were okay with that. Be okay with not finding Sarah Lou. Be okay with not finding Billy. Be okay with never seeing them again. Keep that same energy because I'm here for it. I am so here for it. Because I've been reading the comments and the shop be saying, y'all didn't give a fuck when it was brown people. We sorry that it's white people now, but that's going to happen. This is going to be a repetitive cycle going to happen over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until y'all get tired. Racism cost y'all more than y'all thought. Racism wrote that line? Racism wrote a check that your ass couldn't cash. Yeah, racism wrote a check that your ass couldn't cash. And guess who's paying for it? Okay.
Absolutely disgusting stuff, man. But that's the left for you. At least some of them, right? Because I won't say that's every person on the left, but I don't think you would ever hear anybody on the right saying anything remotely close to that. Do we make fun of people on the left from time to time when sometimes they get what they actually voted for in terms of policies, like they vote for defunding the police and then crime rises? Yeah, sure, we do. But we don't clap for people dying, especially children. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, but there's more.
So wait, Texas has been cheering on ICE all across the country, and now y'all want sympathy for a flood? Have you lost your minds? No, I don't feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for the mom that had that 4-year-old ripped from her arms and will have to hear her baby scream in her head for the rest of her life. That's who I feel bad for, MAGA. You guys voted to take this National Weather Service away. You guys voted and cheered on Doe's shutting everything down. I don't care about you people. I hope you suffer worse than anyone. I hope the parents of these kids regret every day voting for Donald Trump. And I don't want to hear we don't know who they voted for. It's Texas and it's a camp. And the fact that y'all even want empathy tells me everything. Like, sure, I absolutely hate that kids were lost today and other lives. But you guys have cheered on everybody else's demise. Maybe it's all time we get some popcorn and watch yours.
Disgusting, man. Little kids. Little kids. That's what the loving, tolerant, accepting of others left is clapping about. Little kids. You know, I came across an article yesterday that 2 of the little girls were found, unfortunately deceased, holding hands. Just breaks my heart. Just breaks my heart, you know? The fear they've probably felt, you know, in those last moments. To hold each other close as it all ends. You know, that broke my heart, man. And that is what these people are clapping over, happy about, it seems. Disgusting. But that's not everybody, of course. There are some sane folks around here, okay?
Hey y'all, hey. I just wanted to say, as a proud Texan, I've been seeing people doing the round and find out who you voted for. Let me tell you, this is not about politics. One thing about a Texan, we're going to pick up and we're going to help our neighbors. We don't give a damn who they voted for in this time of need. What need to be done is we need to find these babies. That's what we worried about. No politics, no nothing. Small businesses, big businesses, HEB, I know y'all seen it. We all pull our boots up and help each other. We don't give a damn. Blue, yellow, orange, white, brown. We all gonna help each other. I love y'all, and again, Texas strong.
Couldn't have been said any better. Find those babies. Find them. And hopefully, there's some truly good stories to come out of it. For example, one young lady, one of the children, was actually found alive because she had grabbed onto a mattress and floated down the river as the waters rose and came in. She just floated on the mattress for miles. But she was found alive. Hopefully there are more stories like that. Some child floated down on a mattress or on a box spring, whatever, on something, piece of wood, tree branch, and they're found, somewhere in the, hugging a tree. I don't know, right? But man, to see people almost be happy that it happened like that's just crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
God, I love living in Texas. So far, 2 women have found out exactly what happens when you come online and say that 28 children who drowned in the Texas floods and that the 11 more that are missing deserved it. All because Texas voted Trump. Talk about TDS. First up, y'all all remember Sadie. She's gone private now. But that's probably because the mayor of Houston fired her after she decided to come online and say that these kids were too white to care about. The mayor even came out and made a statement about what she said that it is deeply inappropriate and that it has absolutely no place in a decent society. And then next up, we have Dr. Christina Probst, a pediatrician. Yeah, a doctor for children. And she said that the MAGA children got what they deserved. And needless to say...
Hold on, I want to go back so we can read that. May all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry. Non-MAGA voters be safe and dry. Interesting. Kerr County MAGA voted to gut FEMA. They deny climate change. May they get what they voted for. Bless their hearts. That's a pediatrician. Someone who is supposed to be taking care of our children. That's what she posted. How disgusting are these folks? And this is coming from, once again, the side of the political aisle that call themselves loving and tolerant of others. That's all. It is. Proof is right here on your screen.
And needless to say, her employer fired her. But see, that didn't stop there for her.
To our patients and community, this past weekend, we were made aware of a social media comment from one of our physicians. The individual is no longer employed by Bluefish Pediatricians. Love it. Love it. That is incredible. Incredible. Swift action. Swift action.
Because she could lose her entire license. And I hired her. But see, that didn't stop there for her, because she could lose her entire license. And honestly, I hope she does. Because if you can look at a drowned 8-year-old and your first thought is politics, then you have absolutely no business being around children. If we really want to get down to it, I would believe you are more of a harm to children than you are a help to children. Because if I walked into your office and you found out that I voted for Trump, I would believe that you probably would try to actively hurt my child versus help them. I have an idea for you, though.
Drafted, you're out. I don't care.
But anyways, back to the Sheeple people. 28 children are dead. And if people need to lose their jobs to be reminded of that, then so be it. Does anybody want to go for strike 3?
I typically don't cheer for people losing their jobs. Obviously, that's not fun. It's not a good situation. But when you're basically clapping for little kids losing their lives, I'm sorry, I can't feel bad for you when you lose your job and possibly lose your entire career because she might lose her license. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to what mainstream media had to say about this situation. You know, it's kind of interesting how when it's Democrats, they don't want to politicize it. But when it's Republicans, specifically Uncle Trump, they have no problem politicizing it.
Why does Donald Trump continue to insist on politicizing the storm? The only person making an accusation that people are not getting what they've asked for is Trump. The only person who is politicizing this is Donald Trump. He's the one guy doing it. The Doge of it all was essentially all the things that the federal government is spending money on for the most part is waste and fraud. But clearly, there are some things where spending money saves lives. And it may not save lives in the moment that you spend it, but at some point, somebody's life, somebody's child could have been saved.
Basically accusing Trump of what happened. Like, she threw child in there for a reason, in my humble opinion. Like, you don't just normally throw child into a statement like that, you know? I felt like that was intentional. But what do y'all think? Here's Caitlin Collins.
Donald Trump landed in storm-ravaged Georgia today and almost immediately began lying about the federal government's response to Hurricane Helene.
They've given over $1 billion to illegal migrants that came in, and now they have no money.
That is not true. FEMA says no disaster funds were used to shelter migrants. Well, and it's just something, though, that is being repeated time and time again. I mean, a lot of people are listening to Trump in the state of Georgia when he goes there, in other states where he's saying they're not helping at all in North Carolina. And sure, people are frustrated at times when they're dealing with a response in a moment like this, when their house has been completely wiped off, their town potentially, TW. But to see other Republicans, you know, promoting this and amplifying this. Two National Weather Service offices most involved with forecasting and issuing flood warnings in the region did release a slew of watches and warnings in the lead up to those flash floods. But those offices are also missing some key staff members. According to the NWS website, several leadership roles and meteorologist positions in those offices are vacant. And according to Reuters, the meteorologist once in charge of coordinating warnings with local officials at the San Antonio National Weather Service office, Paul Ura, accepted an early retirement offer from the Trump administration earlier this year. That has led to the top Democrat in the Senate calling for an investigation tonight into federal staffing cuts and shortages at the National Weather Service, which has been hard hit by personnel cuts under the Trump administration. Though there are questions, and it may not have significantly affected the forecast and the warnings for this historic and deadly flooding.
Oh, so she admits the truth there at the end. Notice how she saved it to the very end. It may not have affected what happened here, which it didn't. Okay, and we're going to get into that here in just a second. But I just always find it interesting how on one hand, you know, they defend Democrats and stand behind them, but then on the other side, it's all Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. But here's the real information that really went down.
Did any of this have to do with Doge cuts?
Absolutely not. The National Weather Service did a stellar job. 2 days before, I read a lot of discussions coming out of the Weather Service. We have very talented people that are working at these Weather Services office. And 2 days before they were outlining it, they issued the flash flood watch 12 hours in advance, the warning 3 hours in advance. Contrast that to the Estes Park flood back in '76 in Colorado that killed 144 people. Same kind of channeling of water with stalling thunderstorms. The first flood warning was not issued till 3 or 4 hours after the flood was going on. So that's absolutely, they were all ready for it. They understood their duty. And a lot of the guys that work in these Weather Service offices, they look at themselves the same way as people, you know, that are in the Army, that they're trying to, you know, help their country. And they did a great job with this, you know, but how do you get that warning out at 1:30 or 2 in the morning? And you got to understand, folks, this area of Texas, from Del Rio to west of the Metroplex, is known as the Flash Flood Alley. Okay, Kerr County, 1987, July 16th, had the same thing. The Guadalupe River went out of control. Medina, Texas, a dying tropical storm, dumped 48 inches of rain. Then the next day went up to Shackelford County and dumped 30 inches of rain. Your daughter goes to A&M. I grew up down there. My dad went there. I can remember Tropical Storm Abby came in 64. The darn Brazos River was a mile wide. And that's how fast the water comes up in Texas. And it's any mountainous area, this will happen. We had it here in Pennsylvania. Johnstown flood, July of 77, 12 to 16 inches of rain in a 6-hour period and broke all the dams around Johnstown. There was a disaster. This is part of what happens with the majesty of the atmosphere. It's capable of doing things, and you have a lot of people that don't understand that.
But of course, they always accuse, it's climate change, it's climate change, it's climate change. Oh, man. But it's been going on for over 100 years, because I believe there was also another flood that happened in the same area in Kear, Texas, like almost 100 years ago. I believe it was like 1930 something. Same type of situation. Now, there was more rain in that situation, but same type of situation. But it's all about climate change, climate change, climate change. You know, I'm sorry. I just don't buy that narrative. I just don't think us feeble humans can change an entire planet. Just me personally. And even if you look, I believe it was Joe Rogan. I think he brought it up with Bernie Sanders. If you look over the time, over a long time period of where scientists have tried to track, you know, the temperatures of the earth, it's gone up, it's gone down, it's gone up, it's gone down, it's gone up, it's gone down. And you know, this is honestly, matter of fact, let me try to pull that up really quickly, because I want to show y'all, that, because it's absolutely hilarious because of where we are right now, in considering what all of these leftists are trying to push. Let's see if I can pull that up real quick. Let's see if I can pull that up.
Capture the Earth climate change.
Ah, yeah, here we go.
Record. And we can't create millions of good-paying jobs. You got to deal with this climate change issue. And I know that, you know, there are some people who think climate change is a hoax. It ain't a hoax. I think the last 10 years have been the warmest on record.
Take note of that. He said the last 10 years have been the warmest on record.
And we can't create millions of good-paying jobs transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency, to solar, to wind, and other sustainable energies.
I think the climate change issue is very complicated. And I think, did you see the Washington Post piece that they wrote where they did this long-term view? First of all, the reality is that the Earth's temperature has never been static, right? We could both agree on that. It's always been up and down. There's been ice ages and heat waves. And then the Washington Post looked at it. What was the time period that they looked at? That essentially they found that we're in a cooling period. That the Earth over the past X amount of years, and this was like a very inconvenient discovery, but they had to report the data, and kudos to them for doing that. Scientists have captured the Earth's climate change over the last 485 million years. Here's a surprising place we stand now. So look at the far end of that graph, and you see we're in a cooling period.
Well, I'm not sure. I didn't read that article, but
yeah.
The scientists.
I want to find a better clip of that because it's cut off there in the actual
very inconvenient
video. Here we go. Here's a. No, you can't see that well.
Of that graph.
Yeah, no, it's cut off.
In climate
Here we go. Here's a better. Boom. Look where we are. Right here. Look at that. This is according to the Washington Post. You can see it right there at the top of your screen. The Washington Post, scientists have captured Earth's climate over the last 485 million years. Here's the surprising place we stand now, way down here. But apparently, according to people like Bernie Sanders and folks on the left, it's been the hottest on record. But hey, what do y'all think, man? What do y'all think? I'm no expert, okay? I'm just stating my personal opinion, okay? So y'all let me know your thoughts about all of this. And once again, my prayers and well wishes go out to the families affected by this tragedy. Hopefully, we get some good news out of this entire situation. Because, man, that is... I couldn't imagine. I would absolutely lose my mind in a situation like what is happening down in Texas. That is, man. Anyway, y'all stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.